Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, Sammy. Meeting notifications get so many duplicate stuff. I can never tell if these are if they get when they get canceled, I get a separate thing, and it's
Yeah, I think there's two meetings going on. One is scheduled by Shruti and one is scheduled by me. I think we need to sync up and make sure that it gets one calendar thing. Are you seeing two calendar requests or one?
well, I only show one this week. It's like sometimes the
Came
cancel.
from Shruti or it came from Open Computer?
It came from Suthi.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, it came from Suthi.
So maybe last week
Not that.
didn't cancel it. Did you guys try to join last week or?
I don't. I think I wasn't on last week, and I thought last week's was canceled. Let's see.
Yeah, I sent a note, but calendar invite was coming from Shruti. I was hoping Eric and Shruti could join today, and also I heard like Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, PUBAC. There's a scientist professor there. He was planning to join today. Let's probably give some few more minutes. So, did you had a chance to look at uh, the draft version of I think it's the what do we call profile users guide?
No, I haven't.
Okay. But still, I think I would like to do some updates before we can spend time to review that. So one thing is you are also maintaining this MD file, right? That README file. Is that the one we are trying to go, or are we trying to put a document? Or in other words, what I mean is you have a sustainability profile pull
Yeah.
request there, right?
Yes.
When I look at it, I think it kind of has a similar data what we were trying to capture in the user's guide, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, but we're trying to move to to Markdown as the document source. And then obviously for publication it goes into PDF. But since if we're trying to do work in trying to do our work in actual GitHub and pull requests, it's much easier to be able to do edits in documents if they're in Markdown because it's native to GitHub. If you do it in other formats like Word, then they're just binaries and you can't walk through edits on through all the tool chain.
Okay. So your recommendation is use the MD file to uh, update
Yeah,
that, and when we go to the final publication, we can uh, create a PDF out of it.
correct.
Okay. So even though it is a work in progress, we can mark that as a work in progress because we don't want to see somebody thinking this is all done finally,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to see is, so I need to request access to that GitHub if I want to edit, or how is that want to manage that?
Uh,
Or I can give
well,
you the
you
details and you
should be able to
can,
see it. Let's see. You may not be, you may have to create your own fork to get to, if you want to make edits to my branch. Because I think, I mean, you could, I think you could make another pull off of my branch. I think that'll work.
Okay. And I can do a local edit and give it to you, or?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that way we are not kind of creating unnecessary weird document, and finally we have to put those things.
Right, yeah, and yeah, and the document I have there's you'll see two markdown files. One of them is actually I think there's three, but there's a couple markdown files that are just that are the user guide text. But those are taken as input files into a documentation generator that will basically merge those into merge them with the schema guide. So it takes the profile and creates all the tables showing all the resource requirements and the property requirements from the profile document, from the JSON doc. And then produces an output of that, and it produces that in Markdown. So you'll see the output of that tool, as well as all the source files. So, in terms of the user guide portion, you'll want to edit that input file, because we'll run that through the documentation generator to produce, one very large, Markdown output file. And then that's what we will use to run through publication to turn to PDF.
Oh, okay.
It should be pretty obvious when you look at the files, because one of them has large quantities of markdown tables, which I certainly were not creating by hand.
Okay. So then you have to edit the schema file in order to get that reflected here.
Yeah, those all the schema, all the contents from the schema files are pulled in by the generator, guided by the profile JSON.
Okay.
And so what it gets is effectively, we human write the user guide portion, and then the second half of the file is effectively a reference guide that exhaustively documents the requirements set out in the profile itself.
Okay. So I also see the MD file and the JSON file profile .json, right?
Right.
And when I looked at the MD, it is kind of referring portion of those. Is it pulling from that JSON file?
Yes. Yeah.
And there is a mechanism to say like which particular line you want to pull from there.
Yeah. A second. I'll just pull it up here. Yeah. So I just my cache has got to get restarted here. Okay, there we go. All right, so there are five files.
Right.
And so the first one, so this is the actual the actual profile document, or the JSON, this is the actual profile itself.
Right.
And so then these two, this profile and postscript, are the two effectively this is the human readable, or the human generated text to describe the use cases. So this is the file you would want to edit. Either replace what I've got or add to it. Doesn't matter. I've got there's work there, but it's not enormous. Just leave this section, because this is what starts off the reference guide. And then the postscript is just this. Basically, it's just the introduction and this is just tacks onto the front, and then this tacks onto the end of the file when it's generated. So this is just basically change log, and then an explanation of how the tool got generated. And then this last file, this is a config file for the documentation tool, or for the documentation generators, and how to construct the output. And so the big file here, this large markdown file, is the output in markdown of that documentation generator. So if I put in the view, and I think it'll show me in markdown. Yes. So it does, the doc tools to do things like generate the table of contents, and then you'll see it's grabbing, this is all the text from that intro file, and that intro file, stops right here. And then this is now the generated document taking the pieces from the JSON profile, and then the schema files. So it's combining all that. So this is all 100% generated, and it provides the specific stuff if necessary. So you see here, it's got the it shows that it is just showing those things that are required by the profile.
Oh, okay. So I was thinking I have to edit the sustainability minus the profile.md, but I think what I have to edit is the postscript file, right? Or a config, JSON config, those two, right?
No, you shouldn't touch any of those. This is the one you want to touch is this profile intro.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so it's basically you'll see some. I mean, it's in Markdown, and then there's some directives to the tool, but those are small. But you can see this is the stuff that we just saw rendered.
Okay. Probably just need to go through, understand the little details. I think, yeah, this seems to be really good. It's all sitting there, and you can edit.
Yeah,
and you can
and all
also
I
see
had
the changes. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and all I had called out in the profile so far, before we get to the efficiency pieces to add,
Right.
I was just calling out the 3 use cases of, and not going into extraordinary detail here, because a lot of this should be pretty straightforward, but just giving the 3 sustainability use cases that we're trying to support, and that's the basic product identification, and then power energy reporting, and then the physical location data. So that's the 3 sections I called out in the user, in this usage guide, and then the rest of it is just documenting the profile itself.
So did the carbon team finalize how they're going to report the carbon, or still they're working on it? Like at least when I read through this one, it says like all the Pro data is to kind of
Well,
we're getting it
yeah,
to
so
carbon, right?
yeah, so this is laying out the data requirements from a product,
Right.
And so our first pass of this is power and energy reporting, and then enough product identification and enough physical location data. But the product identification should be, we should have sufficient pieces there. I'm in the wrong file. We should have sufficient pieces there to show, to identify the product so that you can look it up in a carbon database. So I don't think the carbon reporting folks are expecting the products, to have programmatic reports of that, of those the embodied carbon pieces yet.
So there is no URL link to the carbon database. It's assumed it's going to live somewhere.
Haven't seen that request yet, but I don't know if they've gotten that far. But
okay.
And I would encourage them to use some other methods to match that up, because I I'd be careful about getting chicken and egg kind of issues if I don't have it published, I can't put it in a firmware, and telling people to go update firmware to add a URI out, just after the fact, that's you're getting into a getting to a really difficult thing to justify from a business and firmware stance.
Yeah, firmware change to put the link, then the link changes are
link changes are even that's the extra goodness. But if instead I can give you, look, I've got make, model, and serial number kind of stuff, or part numbers. If I have enough product information, I should be able to do a product lookup. From into a web form. I thought that's what the Carbon folks were doing for their database.
Okay. Actually, we were also discussing in a cloud service model, like if we have this info, can we even get a power and other performance profile in a database rather than going through this before buying a product, right?
Sure.
Is that somewhere it's getting discussed, or are they planning to do something like that?
Don't know, but the problem with power from the database is and this is not true for all equipment, but certainly for the IT equipment or for the server equipment, which of course represents very large percentage of the data center. The power is going to be highly dependent on the configuration of the system. So telling me that I've got a Contoso, Banana Junior 6000 is one thing, but if I loaded that up with 4 GPUs and a terabyte of RAM, that's going to be very different than a system that's sitting with the lowest speed processor and as just acting as a DHCP server or something. So, but they would still report the same. If they report the same SKU and model number, like, well, that's not going to give me an accurate picture. So
it's going to be the same for even Carbon, right?
Right.
And if I add add-on devices, then your total system Carbon is going to go high. If I don't have any add-on devices, that's going to be lower, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's why we're trying to get enough of the product information so that you can discover it, and then there's going to have to be some figuring out here about is this what constitutes a product versus a subsystem. So if I can continue to discover the things and let you know that, like, okay, this is what's included in that, what's included in this Carbon calculation, and what's not.
Right. Yeah. I think it'll be kind of useful some way to tag a config, right? I don't know whether it's going to be universal or you could have a base platform with 3-4 different config, or even hundreds of different configs too, right? If I say the particular config, what is the Carbon or power for that system, right? I think maybe to kind of say it also another way, right? Even I think when we were presenting the IUE stuff in the regional summit, I think one of the ask was, hey, can we comprehend the performance portion of it? If you want to do a performance person, then we do need to understand what is contributes to the system, right? Hi, Robert and David. I didn't notice we were joined, and we were Jeff and I was talking about the profile.
Yes, this is good information.
Yeah. So, anything else, Jeff? You want to finish on that profile discussion, or I will reach out to you once I play with that profiles.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I've got so much OCP material. I can't. The document that you showed previously, is that on the? Is that up on the site? Is that in the wiki linked somewhere?
It's not in Wiki. It was part of one of the FTA SharePoint. We don't have a, or at least I have not identified the SharePoint for sustainability project. So right now I put that in one of the FTA SharePoint and gave you access to that link.
Okay.
I can send you back if you
Yeah,
don't
if you could send that to me, I may have it, but but it searching for it is a futile exercise.
Okay, I just make a note for myself and edit. So today I was hoping Shruti and Eric could join. Looks like they were not able to make it. And also Shruti said like another professor from, let me open my mail here. Swiss Federal Institute of Technology was want to join today. Looks like I've not seen him. But let me give an update on before that, any opens from the team? David, Jeff, or Robert?
Nothing from me.
Yeah, okay. So we presented the IUE, the materials that we were discussing last few sessions or multiple sessions here, like all our work. I think at least my understanding from the crowd is they like the concept that what we are pursuing it. Couple of questions came up was are we going to be considering the performance portion of it? Are we reflecting performance? Even I believe, David, you brought up right IEE. Are we going to comprehend that, right? I think our answer, at least so far, when we had the discussion a long time back when we started discussing IUE, looking at only power portion. Yes, we do want to look at the performance, and we purposefully said like let us put the performance metrics to a later point rather than doing it early, because that's going to be a lot of controversy there. And at least the discussion from there was looks like the work that we are doing, it's probably easier to incorporate performance data as part of one of the metrics. So what I said was, let us have a focused discussion on the IUE, or not IUE, the IEE, the performance. How are we going to incorporate that? And then we can, as a team, we can make a decision on is it going to be part of IUE, or is it going to be maybe a separate metrics and additional metrics on top of the IUE, where we can say like, here is a performance and power, that kind of information we can be represented. I'm still trying to look the name, the person who want to. Give me a second. Yeah, it's a Kate Burdett from DeckBuyer. She said she want to join the call when we are discussing the IEE related area, and in fact, she said she will want to come and present the work that was done. So David, do you know Kat Burdett or anybody in the team?
I do not. No.
Okay.
Introduced.
I will try to reach out to her and try to get a time for us to discuss, then I will schedule that meeting here. Other than that, there is not really. I mean, at the end of the day, it's how are we going to operationalize it, and how are we going to be able to represent that info. I think that was the main thing. But people agreed the view you are taking, at least from the discussion or the questions. And also there were a lot of discussions related to carbon in the regional summit. I think we need to go back and listen to all the different materials. There's a lot of discussions, frankly, and the power and sustainability related areas.
Do you know if those sessions were recorded at all in the summit?
It's recorded. It's going to be posted either end of, probably next week. They said they will take 1 week and process it, and after that they post it. I'm hoping you will get a mail from the OCP once they post it.
That'd be great, because then we can at least see what people are saying.
So that is one thing. Yeah, we were able to cover within the allotted time, and we had a couple of minutes for. There are a lot of questions where there, but we were able to only address a couple of them, and we had some offline talk with the folks to answer the questions. So other thing also, like the profile portion, right? I think we want to get that ready by Global Summit. That's what we kind of said. Like we'll get that draft going now, and we will once it's kind of ready to share with the wider team, we will share with the team. And my thinking is maybe we'll spend maybe another 2 or 3 weeks time and go through this initial things that we started working on it, and let us get at least the base profile with all the things that we are looking to be added. Except I think my basic thing is how are we going to represent all the sharing model. I think that's going to be one of the areas where we need to figure out a right description to how do we share that sharing information. Like for example, if you are sharing the fan or if you are sharing the power, we should figure out how are we representing it, how are we going to take that info and translate into IUE. That is one. And second question came was it's related to CDU. If you have a CDU cooling distribution unit, is it accounted as part of IT energy, or is it accounted as part of data center energy, right? I mean, data center energy means if it is outside IT, then data center is already accounting for the power use consumed by the CDU. And we don't want to double count that in our IUE metrics or our metrics here. In that particular basic conversation, what we said was, yes, we don't want to double count. At the same time, if let's say I'm selling a rack or a systems which is using CDU, we do need to be able to represent that and tell, like, if I'm using CDU, it's all within the rack, or even if it's outside, we should be able to give a IUE number. But when it goes to operational, we do want to make sure that we are not double counting it. Does it kind of make sense?
It makes sense. Just trying to figure out how you would identify if it was already counted for. I guess as a larger sum, if you knew how everything was being calculated, like, theoretically, you would just say, well, that's already been accounted for previously.
That that is the thing is going to be kind of difficult to what do you call account it, right?
Correct. Definitely a challenge.
That is a challenge. I think we do need to figure out is that if I have a CDU here, if it is who's maybe Jeff could help here, right? As a data center, I don't know, do we have a Redfish model in data center side, Jeff, where we can describe all the systems, including where it is sitting and is it inside the
Yes.
IT or outside IT?
The classes versus IT asset.
So you can, well, the information is available by category, right? So I can tell that I'm, you know, if I'm reading the power data, power and energy stuff from a CDU, I'll know, you know, I know it's a CDU and not a server. But you know, there's nothing in the model today to say I'm an IT product versus I'm a you know, versus I'm a facility product. But by, you know, but the equipment does show up in a different place in the model. So you can, you know, if you want to just categorize them that way, then you're fine, right? So if we can say, you know, everything that's a CDU, regardless if it's at a rack, you know, or out, you know, or if it's sitting on the floor, sitting in the room, or if it's sitting in a rack, if we want to categorize that all you know, that all CDUs are we're going to categorize as facility equipment, we can, that's easy.
Yeah, I think maybe
Say
my
that, like, this, if you want to treat the one that are on the, you know, if I
right-hand
have
side.
one, if I want to treat that one differently than the other one,
Right.
that's we can also tell that because there's category, you know, there's subcategories. So there's, you know, rack CDUs versus other types. So, you know, we can do it that way. But if you want to say that this specific, you know, if you had two rack CDUs, let's say, they would, if you want to treat those differently, you know, one I want to treat as IT, the other one I want to treat as facility. Well, now that's something we don't have in the model. And I don't think we want to do that because that would mean that users, somebody's gonna have to make decisions about that, and I'm guaranteed that they'll get it wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
Wonder if the model should report kind of like in time servers, the stratum, so you could tell which properties are being sourced by the device doing the reporting versus which properties might be built up from reports from other devices.
I think the concern was even if you're accounting it properly, in this one, you may see a lower IUE number. But here, since we are excluding the CDU power, if it goes to facility, then this might be giving a better performance number because you are not accounting that, right?
Yeah, and that's the kind of those are the kind of decisions we don't want to affect those numbers in the, you know, go in the wrong direction, right? So
right.
Because you know, if that heat exchanger unit, like if that one gets because if those are all air cooled servers, you know, but yeah, we're running an external CDU, you know, you know, moving that rack, you know, moving the setup to the right and replacing it with the setup on the left, should have an increase in the efficiency, right? And a total amount of power consumed should go down, and the efficiency, you know, because the overhead of the rack CDU should be lower than the CDU plus the heat exchangers plus the fans, etc. But yeah, if that results in a lower ITU score, that would be bad.
Right.
So, I mean, my understanding of what the goal of that efficiency was to try to get all of the non-compute power separated out, and that's why we were breaking out things like the fan, the collective fan power to be able to carve that out from the compute portion of the server's energy consumption.
That's correct, but I think also the question was, if we are even it is outside, do we want, if it is going to be shared, right, maybe between 2 racks or 3 multiple racks, right?
Yeah.
Do we want to account how much energy is consumed by the CDU and put a portion here and say like, if you want to get a real IUE, then you also need to account for that sitting external to the rack, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, yes. I mean, we need all of this power. We need all of these measurements in total.
Right.
But and then where that power gets tallied up, it's it's the portion of the it's not just the green box here, but effectively let's just say the dark green boxes go into one category, and the yellow and the light green boxes go into the other category.
Right. So then I believe what we are saying here is for IUE, as long as we have this external number, it's okay.
Yeah.
PUE, when they are calculating PUE, we are not correlating PUE with IUE, then you're okay, right? If you correlate IUE and PUE, I think one of the formulas that we had here, we could compute a PUE using IUE. Then here we may double count some of the things if we are not properly accounting for it. Right?
Yeah. So unfortunately, the color coding doesn't match between these 2 slides. We can't.
I know. Yeah.
Can't do this easily, but yeah. So I mean, that's the that total IT energy. But back on the previous slide, there is in the dark green box of the server today that there is hidden inefficient power in the measurement that we're showing, because you're just getting the total server, and that includes the cooling subsystem within the IT equipment. So yeah, exactly, it's those 3 things. So that's what we're going to start to break out, so that we can separate them and then put them into the blue or the blue or the green.
Right. So I think my question is, do we have a model for total facility?
Yes. There's data models for that. It's a question of like, well, where is that information going to get stored? But I mean, if it's in terms of the how do I collect it up? If I can collect the data up, then you can create an aggregate data model that has all of the data together, and then you can traverse it and then do your calculations, based on your based on that data store.
Yeah, I think the host, how are you going to get host? There should be some agent giving you the data, right? I think without that, or in order to get this data, you need to have some services that you have to point to that, right?
Is there a standard redfish profile defined at that level?
A profile, no. But I mean, there are the schemas are defined for a facility and for power consumption for that, at those levels. But at the moment, there are no implementations of for a software for a software only service that is collecting up and aggregating the facility. So so there's no profile, but the data model supports it.
Okay. So currently there's no URL to kind of say like, go and get it from there.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably like we need to clearly call out or clear out to kind of say like, even the data center facilities team, right? I know they are putting their the requirement model and where it is going to be hosted and where it's available. I'm not quite clear that. Mainly the thing is we want to make sure that we are not double counting when we are putting that formula. I think we need to figure out what exactly we need to call out so that it's clear. Any other questions or comments? If not, I was kind of thinking of going through this the network and storage, but I believe we had all of us were there in the last discussions. I was hoping Eric or Shruti, when they come on, they can have a discussion on the things that we had last week or last week before last. Any thinking or any like discussions that you guys had, anything outside that will be helpful on those two areas?
No, not for me.
And in OCP again, we kind of touched on little bit, like yes, we are still looking at the power and I mean the IUE for network and storage, but we have not really like concluded on it. We would like to conclude it sometime and say like yes, we agree on it. Maybe I will bring it back. I will check with Shruti and Eric whether they are able to join, and we'll just bring it back and conclude on that, right? So other than that, I don't have any new materials for our discussions today. The only thing is I would like to get this profile things. I will want to kind of spend some time on work on it probably next week and bring it back for us to review. Then the second thing is I will schedule the IEE discussions once I'm able to get that date from the other reps. The third thing is I will also check with Shruti and Eric on the network discussions, and let's bring it back again for discussions before we can conclude on the IUE portion of it.
I do have a general question for documentation. So I know we are reviewing the GitHub piece, but for the IUE documentation, is that just going to be in Google Docs for now, or are you thinking of converting it to the GitHub process?
So there's two things, right? The user's guide, we want to go through the GitHub process. For IUE white paper, we want to write. Maybe I think it's a question for Jeff. White papers, do we really normally write it through the Word and publish it, right? We don't really put a GitHub to write a white paper there, right?
Well, that's where we'd like we want all the OCP documents to migrate to GitHub and therefore Markdown.
Oh, okay.
Since we have the publication tools, to produce those, the ability to collaborate, in GitHub is far superior to things like SharePoints and or Google Docs and whatnot.
Okay,
because there's an approval because it allows for an approval process.
Okay, if that is available, do we have any sample or example or link for existing white paper? Then I would like to use that link and copy that material and start putting in a white paper. We do need to write an IUE white paper.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like any updates on. I mean, if you look at any of the, any pull requests or any of the, see if I can find one. But I mean, if I don't remember if this Workstream has a separate GitHub, but I don't, probably don't need one. I think we have ones for sustainability.
As a different repo.
Yeah, so just use that repo and then create, we can create a document there, and then we can start editing and working on it. I don't want 10,000 different repos because it becomes the same issue as trying to find the 1,000 different SharePoint locations and Google Drive locations.
Yeah, I'm okay to use the GitHub. but I'm asking is there any white paper document was written? I could use that as a template and copy it and modify it, right?
There's a, let's see that I mean template wise, there should be.
Previous email, I'm trying to find one. She had a.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean the good news is that I mean from a document template from the publication, it's really the structure. So I mean whatever white paper thing you find, I mean the markdown is so lightweight that just work on the text, and if we need to add the the heading levels and things like that, it's easy enough to do.
Okay. Let me.
So I'm saying is like don't let that hold you up, but I mean,
Right.
but in terms of the style that the actual document structure, I mean, it's just it's the existing it's the existing layout of the OCP white papers. We're not that doesn't change. It's just how you do it in Markdown, and you can take my you can take my examples from that, because I mean it's just basic Markdown stuff.
Yeah, I was hoping the PUE white paper that we wrote for really highlighting what are the issues. I was thinking of just copy the document and start writing.
There are plenty of Word to Markdown converters that might get you a lot of the way there, if you want to do it that way.
Okay.
Just make sure you're using something that is using the GitHub flavored Markdown.
Okay, let me play around and get it. I think that's a good idea. I think once we put that document in the SharePoint or I mean GitHub, it's easy for us to review and also people to add additional content there. I think we do need to, we do need to get a shared document going on. That way we can all get it contribute easily. So I will try to get those initial template with some of the content that already we have in the PowerPoint, converted to that format and share it with Steam. That way we can get that at least link started to work on it. Yeah. I don't have anything else. No other topics for discussion. We can give 10 minutes back.
Thank you.
Very good.
Good. Thank you, team.